You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
I have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. And I'm all out of puppy.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, where I am broadcasting from a free state in North Idaho. I was this guy that you were looking at. I am your conservative Sherpa, and as prior indices state, I am guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, bedlam, deceit, tyranny, and betrayal. And also a remembrance that what you're going to be hearing for not quite sure how long tonight consists of my opinions and my opinions only. I am doing the job the American media man gets fundamentally won't. I am changing America one leftist diaper at a time. We do not water our drinks, just like we don't water our conversations. We are still serving stiff drinks in the saloon, along with facts, history, logic, rationality, proportion, context, tradition, clarity, and common sense. Politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law. We talk about it all right here in the saloon, where the speech is free, but the booze is not. I am streaming live on a whole bunch of different places that look remarkably similar to this. And that would be the SHR Media YouTube channel, Spreaker later in podcast, Apple Podcasts, basically in podcast wherever you can find great podcasts. You'll find the Saloon, Twitch, Facebook, X on a bunch of different places, at BZ's Saloon on X, also on KLRN Radio. And I want to remind everybody that you can jump. We cordially invite you into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room. I stress again, who wouldn't want to be in this chat room? Everyone would want to be in this chat room. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and thanks for being here tonight. The dealio is, what price is freedom today? And I guess by extension, you could also ask, what is free today? Do we actually have freedom in the United States? And I would submit that more than any other time that I've encountered, I have not seen the true chaos that I'm seeing right now. A great deal of it has to do with societal upheavals. A great deal of it has to do and can distinctly be traced back to 2020, when we decided that we were going to go ahead and cripple and destroy our nation for Wuhan 19, and also all the fires and the violence that occurred pretty much the entire year of 2020, courtesy of all the leftists who decided that they were going to destroy as much as possible for a black thug who was revered far beyond his worth. We decided to take that path. We're taking that path today. I've never seen another time where communism was outright advocated in public, as well as Islam and Sharia law advocated in public as I've seen today, nor have I seen nearly as many insane people feted as wonderful, such as the Democrats and the leftists and the anarchists and people, including into science, medicine, who believe that men are women and who also believe that it's just fine to abort a baby up to birth, and who believe that there's nothing wrong inherently or outwardly with the chemical, mental, and physical butchery of children. Mostly, as we've noted, from insane leftist white chicks who, not having a female born to them, decided in numerous circumstances that they were going to take the little boy that they have and create out of whole cloth, mud, clay, whatever, the next closest convenient surgeon, and create a girl out of them. This, of course, is insanity writ large. And this is how you go about destroying a nation. And that's why I say, I think this will probably end up going towards part 2 on Thursday night. I suspect there will likely be a What Price Freedom show on Thursday night. And if I can gather my cards and gather any number of people for the show, I hope to have some guests with me Thursday night to weigh in. Speaking of programming notes, I think I made a very significant error. Oh, now, great. Okay. And now my graphics are not following me. All right. Well, I had a serious technical issue which delayed the beginning of the show, which has now rolled over into another technical issue, which is attempting to kill the show. I can no longer get to any of my overlays except the ones at the very top. I showed you a few. So this is already beginning to be a rather frustrating show. I will have to do it as best I can. Sometimes StreamYard works for me. Sometimes it doesn't. And at this point, I have to say, honestly, I have no idea what I've done, because up to now, both aspects, which delayed the show and the one that's delaying overlays right now, worked just fine at the beginning before I began to stream. But you're not here to hear me complain. I won't be able to access a lot of my sound cuts. I see that they are limited over there on my other board. So I guess I'm just going to have to motor through as best I can. We'll start here. I can't even put up my Carousel of Amusing Gurp overlay right now. So I guess I'll simply have to go through the videos and the stories one by one without any assistance from digital graphics. Such be it, and so be it. This was going to be under the Carousel of Amusing Gurp. Bigotry rears ugly head as WNBA refuses to allow this stunningly beautiful woman into the league. This is the gorgeous, as you can clearly see, Enes Kanter bravely announced her new identity as she applied for the WNBA draft, only for the evil forces, and this is the truth, the evil forces of sexism and hate and intolerance rise to the fray. It's very, very sad. It's heartbreaking, truly, in the year 2026, when we can't have a stellar basketball player like this playing for the WNBA. It's very sad, and there are many people crying about it right now. And then I guess you could say that there's a bit of a positive aspect to this, in terms of there's another individual, former NBA star by the name of Royce White, who said that now, and again, so sad, people, so sad, that he's getting death threats because he has declared himself available for the WNBA draft. And let's see if we can play this interview between Benny and also Royce White. Go.
So I do want to ask, like, how has your journey been so far? How has your reception been announcing for the WNBA draft? We just went through the rules of the WNBA. There is no rules that exclude you from joining the WNBA.
Nor should there be.
And in fact,
nor
many players
should there
say
be.
that they want transgender individuals to be playing on their team or against them. They welcome it. The coaches are saying that. The league has stated that. And so we expect you to be welcomed with open arms. Is that going to happen?
We would hope so. We would hope they live up to their values and their principles in the WNBA community. The pushback has been unprecedented for me. The hate. I mean, I've never received so much hate. As a black man, I thought I was the victim of oppression, but being the first, prospectively, one of the first black, sometimes identifying as a transgender lesbian, the hate is unreal.
And I'm sad to have to start out the show with that and depress everyone, but it's a reflection of the temper of the times that we have. Here's another bit of the temper of the times. And this is reflective of the fact that Spencer Pratt has declared himself, let's see, I'm not going away.
Portion of my mission to save Los Angeles is coming to a close, and I'm moving on to the next, more interesting phase. Listen, I've spent a lot of time slaying everybody. I've ridiculed everyone on the roster, and I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take the chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. You think you can get rid of me that easily? I know a lot of dim-witted jerks thought I was in this for a grift, that I was going to roll up and leave town if I didn't get into City Hall.
It's just not fair.
Hey, morons, I didn't get in this for political power. I got in this to expose this corrupt machine, and nothing has changed. You enjoy your worthless meetings in City Hall.
Nicky, you have all this information. You're running for mayor. Show what you're really about, or get the fuck out of the race.
I'm going to be lighting you up every single day, and now I don't have to worry about offending CNN viewers. I don't have a campaign laws hamstringing me now. It's war. It's 0 hour for Los Angeles. Angelinos are now stuck with two morons responsible for all their problems, and they have to choose between dumb and dumber. That's not a choice. That's the machine protecting the machine. And now every problem that plagues Los Angeles because of these two corrupt communists is going to accelerate, and the city will tumble headlong into the abyss.
By the way, did you guys know that Karen Bass truly is a communist? She signed up for the Cuban Venceremos campaign, which is a communist campaign. She truly is.
No idea how many major developers, hoteliers, business owners, entrepreneurs have been texting me saying they're packing up and leaving town. More of your favorite restaurants will be shuttering. That means less tax revenue. That means the city has to cut services, more potholes, less firefighters, less police patrols, more criminals, more drug addicts terrorizing your communities. And we haven't ended it. You have no idea how bad things are about to get for this city. Look at this place already. Weeds growing from every crack and crevice, graffiti over every square inch of public space, garbage, drugs, feces, burned up dogs, burn down towns, abandoned storefronts. This city is a mess, and you're about to reward the arsonist who torched the place with 4 more years of destruction?
I know he's very bitter.
My goal hasn't changed. I've been laser focused on stopping these commie animals, and I will stop them. If you think we uncovered a lot of fraud and evil in the campaign, just wait. We have some recordings of one of your exalted candidates doing and saying something that would make her resign in shame. I was saving it for the general election. Go ahead and pick your demon, certify your choice, and then you get to see it. So Karen Nithya, ask yourself, is it possible that one of your employees may have a recording of you doing or saying something that would force you to resign in disgrace? Hope you sleep well at night over the next 5 months, because you know who hasn't slept well at all for the last 17 months? My mom. All my neighbors in the Palisades, all the moms who worry about their kids walking past drug addicts in front of their schools, all the business owners getting crushed in the LA economy, worried that they can't stay in business and feed their kids. Angelinos have been struggling for years now, all while corrupt politicians and fraudulent NGOs profit off the misery and fleece us for the tax dollars. Well, now we're flipping the script. I want all of you awake at night sweating and worried about 5 a.m. when the FBI blazers bust in the door, breaking open your office, because I assure you, they're coming. You think your election was going to stop me?
However,
if you want to stop me,
you're going to have to fucking kill me!
Portion of my
I'm with him. But you see, you have to realize that it's not just Los Angeles. This is a fight for survival. It's not just cowboys and Indians anymore, kids. It's not just Republicans versus Democrats, because frequently, as I'm going to point out tonight, there isn't a damn dime's difference between the two. And we are fighting, literally, as I've said, and probably will continue this coming Thursday night. This is what we're doing. We're fighting for our very existence. The only reason I can show this overlay is because it's the very top of the overlays. Just luck of the draw. But that's what the show is about tonight. What price is your freedom? What price are you willing to pay when, in fact, in the 40s and the 50s, commies had the good grace and mostly the good common sense to stay out of the public? Now they're feted as heroes. And the people that are doing so are those with rampant, terrible historical Alzheimer's and haven't even made or attempted a glance into the anus of history to discover what it was that communism had done to so many people. Let me state straight up from the very beginning. This has been done at the behest of the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America. However, those of you who are too stupid to see what's going on, these aren't socialists, they're communists. If you read what they support, if you look at their platform, if you listen to the words coming out of their mouths, they're communists. And make no bones about it whatsoever. If I can last through a good portion of the show, I have numerous indices to display for your viewing pleasure and entertainment. Let's start here, however, because I find this interesting. So the Wisconsin governor primary races, it looks like Tom Tiffany has won for the Republicans. And I'm going to have to refresh this page because I'm finding this really difficult, very difficult to understand. Now, this is from NBC News. It's, I would assume, relatively fresh. I just refreshed the page in front of your face. And so Wisconsin governor primary results, Tom Tiffany, Republicans, Democrats. I don't know if you can see this, probably not in the vertical aspect, but I will read it to you anyway, because everyone was expecting Francesca Hong to walk away, perhaps run with a victory tonight in Wisconsin. And at this point, they're saying it's too close to call between Francesca Hong, who is literally insane, and David Crowley. I'm looking over here, and the percentile for the two is precisely at this point 39.9%. So likely the biggest question now it will be, okay, what happens and who presents all the ballots that were mailed in, and when do they get counted? My suspicioso is that once the mail-in ballots are beginning to be opened and checked, as well as Democrats will open and check them, but they won't screw with things too much, except they do want the insane commie, Francesca Hong. But when mail-in ballots start to trickle in, and probably it will be as per normal after midnight, and then there may be a magic injection into the arm of Francesca Hong. But I must admit, at this point, I'm a little gobsmacked in terms of not seeing the massive runaway that I expected at this point. The other thing, and because I'm not pleased, as you might suspect, with Democrats, leftists, anarchists, globalists, commies, socialists, blah, blah. There really isn't a dime's worth of difference between any of them, and certainly not between socialists and communists. Oh, BZ, it's in the title of the DSA. They're communists, and I don't care what you say in response to that. They're just commies. Read their platform. You know, Robert Oppenheimer, one of the creators of the nuclear bomb at Los Alamos in the 40s, was a communist. A great deal of the physicists from Germany who came over to assist, and from the United States, they were commies. And it's because they had the luxury in education and the luxury in means and circumstances to do that and to say that. The USSR, which no kid today has any idea what it was. They just know about Russia, and likely don't associate Russia with the USSR. That's how ridiculously inane and dopey they are. They have 0 points of reference for communists. One aspect that I'm going to point out, and you can go, I don't have it with me tonight, but it just came out of my brain housing group, was when the wall fell in, and gee, most of you leftists, BZ, what wall are you talking about? I know, I realize you're not cognizant of history. I understand that concept. I'm speaking to the people who are educated tonight. But when the wall fell, one of the funny things was KGB files were revealed. And as it miraculously turns out, those selfsame KGB files revealed that Joseph McCarthy was correct all along. Go look up the HUAC conferences and meetings and hearings. Very interesting, with some insight. Oh, and I would also recommend going to watch the wonderful individual Lily Tang Williams, who lived in China under communism, under Mao, and made an exit from China and gave so much information indicating that what she saw in China is beginning to occur right here. And she is a massive fighter for freedom. this funny little thing called freedom. And what is the price for freedom? Is it death? Or is there no price whatsoever? Or do so many people simply roll over and capitulate, and they become a quisling, and is that what happens? Do they become a Neville Chamberlain from the UK, who set a great precedent that the UK is following up on today? The other thing in terms of news, and this is once more why I point to Republicans. So I'm going to play a video for you about a minute or so. And anyone remember Cocaine Mitch McConnell? I know I do. So Mitch McConnell has not been around for, I'd say, this is a guesstimate, at least a month, when I'm sure he's alive via some kind of weekend at Bernie's invigoration. But his chief of staff, a dude named Terry Carmack, was seen at McConnell's place and didn't want to say anything to anybody about it. And so, okay, this guy Carmack, just to let you know, I'm going to clue you in on the surprise. He makes about $226,000 a year. He's still getting paid, even though McConnell has been missing. I'm looking over here. And oh, BC, you're wrong. It's not 1 month. He's been missing for 2 months. So this is a complete and utter disgrace and a disservice to not just the people of Kentucky, but also to all the voters. Folks, I'm going to take a break. I will put up a different graphic that I can actually reach, and we're going to take a break, and I'll be right back. Folks, I need this break.
You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network.
I didn't mean that one. I mean this one.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Mission log. Entry. I mean, let's face it, who's even counting anymore? The Lost Wanderer is officially off course, chasing rogue rocket launches, fringe science, and things that probably violate causality. If it burns fuel, bends time, or makes scientists very uncomfortable, yeah, I'm probably going to talk about it. Every other Sunday on KLRN Radio, The Lost Wanderer, because space doesn't come with a roadmap, and honestly, I wouldn't follow if it did.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Hey fellas, are you mission ready? You need to check out Mission Ready Men via Earl Big E Jackson on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and noon Eastern. It's a show that equips you to navigate our society's challenges from a biblical perspective with courage and conviction. Tune into Mission Ready Men as we examine our culture through the prism of biblical truths, teachings, and how to apply them in our daily lives. Prepare to step up, stand out, and step into your role as a man as ordained by God. That's Mission Ready Men, hosted by Earl Jackson on the SHR Media Network. And get mission ready.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life, the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I'm BZ. I am back. Began with some funny things going on with technology. I decided that we're going to persevere through all of that tonight. One important show note that I want to make. I can't even do that. I was going to make mention. Okay, last Thursday night, I was in error. And I said that Lyle Armstrong of the show Beer and Bullstein would not be returning. And I have to stand corrected on that because he will, in fact, be returning. Circumstances have changed, and he's in the process of upgrading some technology. And the last that I hear is that he will have a show here on SHR on Friday night. And that will be at 4 p.m. Pacific and 6 p.m. Central and 7 p.m. Eastern. So Lyle Armstrong of Beer and Bullstein will have a show coming later on this week. We can only hope with crossed fingers that he will be returning in his regular slot with regularity and possibly some paprika. I'm not sure. I was talking about Mitch McConnell before we were so rudely interrupted by something desperate that BZ had to accomplish. And first, some people might say, well, okay, it's Mitch McConnell. Who really cares? Well, the GOP, oddly enough, should be the ones, and the people in the state of Kentucky should be the ones who care quite a bit. He has missed, at this point, literally dozens of Senate votes. He's the former leader of the Republican Senate caucus. Taxpayers are still funding his salary and the salaries of every one of his staff members, including the one whose video I'm going to play. You know, Kentuckians, you aren't getting your representation. You should care about this a lot. And yet, I believe you're not just being shoveled aside. You're not just being, your cat poop is not just being buried in the sand. I would go so far as to say you're probably being lied to. So let's watch this guy that I told you about earlier, a guy named Terry Carmack, who's a chief of staff for McConnell, and he makes $226,000 a year, and he doesn't want to talk to anybody about anything.
Excuse me, sir. Can you give us a status update on Mitch McConnell?
Nope.
Sir, are you related to the senator? Do you work with him? What brought you to his house today? Sir, any status update at all? Hey, don't touch me.
Don't touch me.
You ran into me.
Don't touch me.
You ran into me, sir.
Okay. If this is the kind of quality you get via the GOP, and if some people are saying, if this is what the GOP is, why are we even in the GOP? I frequently have a bunch of those questions. What are they doing for us? And that, again, distinctly goes back to what's the price of freedom? Are we willing to lay down, or are we willing to fight for it? Hundreds of thousands of Americans have lost their lives in the process of trying to keep America free. And it appears that we are so willing to just let it lapse, let it drift away. And I was having a lovely tete-a-tete with some leftist piece of shit earlier on X who doesn't have two brains to rub between his thumb and forefinger. It makes me wonder if he even had opposable thumbs. Likely it's not even a he. Likely he is a she, because the estrogen was massive in the X tweets that were forthcoming from this individual. And said, I'm just a continued Trumper. I will do anything for Trump. And people who have watched this show know that that is not true. And let's see, 600,000 Chinese allowed into the United States as students. That is horribly wrong, President Trump. Deciding that he was going to continue the Patriot Act and that he is all for surveillance. Wrong, President Trump. Horribly wrong. And now we're getting information that my primary complaint at this point now is you've opened the doors to Iran, and I think you suspected that everything in Iran was going to go as swimmingly as it did in South America, and it's not. And I said from the very beginning that if you unleash hell on Muslims, don't stop. And Donald John Trump, OMB, Orange Man Bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, believes that he can negotiate with anyone. It's truly in his nature. And I couldn't disagree more with that. He should have done what the Israelis should have done with Gaza, is go in, get as many hostages back as possible, and kill everyone. They're Muslims. That's their job. To see, I don't know, 72 virgins, whatever the hell it is. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever, except in terms of Islam plays long ball. Islam plays huge long ball. They've done it for over 1,000 years. Name, if you will, for me, any negotiated document or tool that was agreed upon by, say, Iran and then held on their end, or for that matter, most any other Muslim country, certainly in the Middle East. A lot of people don't realize the greatest amount of Muslims are in Indonesia, not in the Middle East. That's a different version. They are fairly civilized, fairly. But the tribal, nomadic beasts and the death cult version of Islam in the Middle East, as people who worked and fought and came back to work for me from the sand pile, who were military members, all almost to a man said that, and I have no reason to doubt this, I've seen it and heard this before, by way of, say, the Bakabatsig boys, go look that up, that women are for breeding and boys and various forms of livestock are for pleasure. And I'm not speaking out of turn by saying this. So this is a mindset that so many Western people don't understand. PC, how would you know? Well, Oddly enough, I have eyes and I read, and I've looked at their holy book, and I've looked at their hadith, and I've read it, and I believe that they mean everything that they say in there. And when they tell you that they want to convert or kill you, Muslims, I still don't understand what it is about the aspect of individuals who don't believe what is coming out of their mouths. And so if you were going to have all of this talent, all of this military equipment, certain personnel available in that region, ships, planes, aircraft, surveillance, drones, massive amounts of equipment that we have used to bombard Iran, and then we don't follow through with a continued bombardment. And how many times has Trump blinked for Islam? Every time he blinks, Islam sees that as a victory, and they will die to a man to make sure that the caliphate becomes reality and they conquer all. They are here to dominate and conquer and to assimilate. And if you don't, you're nothing but fodder to be removed. Let me display, if I can. I don't think it goes down this far. No, I can't even display that. But Islam is here to use the communists in order to get into and make insinuations into this country, to be embedded into this country so that they can remove the communists, whom they couldn't care less about, and install themselves in supremacy, in extremis, in all sorts of situations. And now, after all this time, since Trump has entered Iran, BC, that was a long way of getting to this, but yes, I am here now. Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, now says that, well, the Strait of Hormuz is no longer particularly relevant after the Trump admin tried everything that they could to open it, and they failed. And so my question to everyone here is the United States preparing to exit the war? There have been rumors to indicate that, well, you know, in terms of the way things are going right now, maybe removing all the nuclear weapons is something that we'll have to simply cede. Well, isn't that special? Scott Bessent, take it.
We've speculated the strait will never go back to being the way it was before. What would you say?
I would say, I think they're saying that in a doomsday sort of way. I would say it in another way. The strait is never going back to the way it was because the Iranians have used or tried to use it as a choke point. What we are going to see over the next 2 years, the strait's going to become irrelevant. It is going to become just another body of water. And I would say that more than 50 or 70% of the energy that moves through the strait now is going to go through underground pipelines.
And can they build that in, say, 2 years? Now I don't know, I would submit it's a bit of a pie in the sky kind of theory to believe that they have the ways, means, money, and ability to create pipelines that rapidly. And perhaps they have any number of them already laid down. But I'm hearing rumblings from the Trump administration to the point where we're not going to be able to accomplish all of the things that we said we were going to. Now, I want to make this one aspect very clear. It's not because we can't do it. It's not because we don't have the men and the women and the material to make it happen. It's not because we don't have the ability to turn the country of Iran upside down into rubble and then bounce the rubble, or even glass. I wonder how many people have considered that. But what is truly lacking is the will and the understanding of the Middle Eastern version of Islam. Continuously, I say, 2 books that you must read in order to try to understand Islam, the Middle Eastern version, I must be very specific about this, is The Strong Horse by Lee Smith, and also The Closed Circle by David Price Jones. If you read those, you will begin to understand that Islam, the Middle Eastern version, understands strength and death only, period. The axiom that I have quoted for over 10 years now is this is a truism. It's me against my brother. It's me and my brother against my cousin. It's me and my brother and my cousin against the tribe. It's me and my brother and my cousin and the tribe against the outsider. And the outsider can be anyone outside the tribe. They are Bedouins. They are nomadic. They don't respect lines on a map. That's completely immaterial to them. And so the other thing that I want to put up now for display, and I will read it to everybody, because especially if you're in the vertical YouTube format right now, you won't be able to see these really small words, which is why I don't particularly enjoy the vertical aspect of YouTube. I think it's silly, but it does get views, so I must adjust. Iran now is demanding, according to the Wall Street Journal, they want $300 billion in compensation for their damage. They want the release of up to $100 billion in assets that were frozen. They want each and every sanction that was levied against them removed and lifted. They want a U.S. troop withdrawal from what they call the entire region, and an end to the naval blockade. And they want, why not? I guess you can wish, transit fees on every ship going through the Strait of Hormuz. How many times are we going to go back and forth between all this? There's a site called Polymarket, and you can see the graph here. It says U.S. and Iran no longer projected to reach a Hormuz agreement by the end of the month. There's a 30% chance. And the other thing that in terms of freedom, and I have to ask you what, that's the story for the show tonight. What price freedom? What kind of a price are we going to have to pay? How dear will that price be? Will it involve, say, death? Will it involve carnage? What will be the price that we're going to have to pay? Or will we simply capitulate and roll over like your friendly puppy when you approach? And what does that friendly puppy, that new puppy, do besides rolling over? They pee because they're frightened. Is that us now? Is that all of Europe? So are we willing to fight for freedom? I wish I could tell you that I was 100% assured that this was going to occur. And I cannot. The freedoms that we once had, that I enjoyed as a kid in the 50s and the 60s, those are mostly gone now. Freedom now is the government allowing you to do X, Y, or Z. It's not a matter anymore of I choose as a free individual, allegedly, that I'm going to do this. You are now, it is the government who is intervening, saying that we agree you might be able to do this if it's for your benefit, if it's for your safety, if it's for the children. Well, probably you won't be allowed to do that. And so tonight I'm going to show you a number of the things where your freedoms are going away. And they're going away by way of the digital aspect of it all. I said, again, a number of years ago, that if we had a time machine, it would be very nice to go back in time and kill Navy Admiral Grace Hopper. The reason I've said that for some time is that Grace Hopper invented COBOL, C-O-B-O-L, which is the language, the precursor of the language that we enjoy today in the digital world, in the digital realm. Anything and everything digital, as my cybersecurity expert Mike Fitzpatrick has said previously on probably 20 prior occasions, anything and everything digital will be hacked. And it will be the digital world and the digital gods, little g, that will be, I suspect, the deaths of us all. Now, there are any number of people who are saying, oh, what a tinfoil hat wearer you are. Well, day by day by day, and I'm going to show you various illustrations of this, it's moving in that direction. Let's say, for example, I went to International Cyber Digest because there's so much going on. How do you keep up? How do you keep track with all of these things? You know, and in the show here, I don't make anything up. I don't have to, because I bring the articles and the videos to you via the internet. Even at my advanced age, I have the ability to utilize a keyboard very similar to this one. And when necessary, or when I'm motivated, oddly enough, as opposed to the American media maggots, I can find shit. So I find things. And from International Cyber Digest, Delta Airlines just recently confirmed an unauthorized Wi-Fi network appeared aboard Delta Airlines flight DL591 from Las Vegas to Atlanta on August 10th. Gee whiz, that's yesterday. And it was carrying passengers home from DEFCON 34. They were probably using a Wi-Fi, what they call a pineapple, in flight. So crew ACARS messages, yes, aircraft are on the internet, and that's how they send and receive messages from the aircraft to the various owners of the airlines, and sometimes the manufacturer of the airlines. They were intercepted, oddly enough, by ground receivers and warned corporate security of what was called, quote, scam Wi-Fi called Delta Wi-Fi Fast, targeting other passengers. Well, Delta, strangely enough, says, oh, nothing was hacked. The crew killed the Wi-Fi for about 30 minutes. Were you aware, ladies and gentlemen, that by way of the internet, uncommanded controls were given to aircraft, commercial aircraft, while flying in the air just a few years ago? Someone, probably a passenger on the plane, was able to get into the system and made uncommanded changes, that is to say, changes not demanded or commanded by the pilots, by the pilot or the first officer, but the system was hacked into. This is only going to occur at a greater frequency in the future. Also, I should care to point out something very, very important about AI, about ethics, about a change. And I'll relate it to someone who died as an example of what not to do. And I'll be right back to tell you that story right after this. Take a break, folks. I will be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Listen in to the Reaver of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a show equipped for bombast. Tune in Mondays and Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Pacific, featuring a refreshing dose of reality. Jersey Joe fearlessly tackles the tough topics with no nonsense. Just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com, where you can hear the Reaver of Common Sense in action. He may not always be polite. He may not always be refined. But one thing's for sure. He always tells it like it is.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? Then check out 7 Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with 7 Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com. 7armors.com. Faithful, vigilant, steadfast, fashion.
Are you looking for bold, honest conversation about the issues shaping America? Well, let me welcome you to Unleashed 101 with Jeremy Hansen, where we take you beyond the headlines. We dive into politics and culture, the struggles of everyday life. It's raw, real, and unfiltered. If you're ready for truth with a punch, pull up a chair and join us. That's right, Unleashed 101, where real talk feels like home. Find us at unleashed101.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and more. We look forward to seeing you. Unleashed 101 with Jeremy Hansen.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Thanks for being here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I'm BZ. We are into our second hour. And by looking at the clock on the wall, I can tell I'm not going to get to a fraction of what I have available. And that's why I believe this show is going to roll over onto this coming Thursday night. And will likely be attempting to assemble a round table of individuals, and we will continue to discuss what I have brought up for tonight, and that is, what is the price for freedom? Are we truly free? I submit no, not by a long shot. Oh, we were when I was a kid. There's a story that just emerged where parents were arrested for letting children play outside. What kind of a massively revolting, pussified society have we become? We are nothing but a cornucopia of cowards. And that continues to be true. The digital realm, the digital world is subsuming us and dragging us under. And it very well may be the death of us, alongside something that we simply don't talk about. This is not the show for that. But my understanding is that we are, this is a guesstimate, I'm just pulling this out of my brainulus, about $40 trillion in debt. And yet no president has or likely will attempt to address this massive flaw in thinking. If we somehow come to our senses and realize that we cannot continue like this, and my understanding also is that we haven't had a true past bipartisan budget since roughly the Clinton administration. It's all been a series of patchwork quilts since. We're not heading into a good place to be. We're in, I don't know, I guess, what, like stage 8 of civilizational collapse? Now, I'm sure probably a number of you have read the 8 stages of civilization, which is sort of a revolving circus. And history proves this, of course. It's a republic, if we can keep it. It's not a democracy, as leftist Democrats would have you believe. Not communists, because they want absolute dictatorial power out of communism. And people frequently say, oh, but, you know, these people have, there are fascists, BZ. Don't you understand fascists? Hitler, yeah. And there are socialists. Didn't you read the Little Red Book? And there are communists. Well, I have a copy of that little red book right over there. Oh, and I forgot. I'm sorry. There's Marxism, but it all ends up being communists, where the government controls, or communism, I should say, where the government controls everything, the means of everything, the power for everything, and the prole at the bottom of the food chart gets nothing. But the people at the very tippy top, they get their own little dachas. That is so buried. Hassan Piker, just recently today, and I have the video. I'm not going to play it this session of the show, likely Thursday night, was trying to justify his 246,000, for 1.2, 1.3, something like that. He has a very expensive house in a very nice area. But see, that's his dacha. And he's gotcha. Because he doesn't care about anyone except him. Commies don't care about anyone except the people at the top. Oh, Bernie Sanders is such a loving, wonderful person with his 3 houses. And he's a millionaire. And he wants to tax billionaires. What happens if Bernie becomes a billionaire? Might he see fit to not levy taxes on billionaires. It's just odd how that happens. Now, I was going into the digital realm in terms of the twistage and the revision of freedom. In our monitored surveillance state, AI data center controlled world, are we truly free? You have to be aware of the things that are going on around you. And Mike Fitzpatrick, my cybersecurity expert, sent me some interesting things recently, today and yesterday. And I thought I would bring them here for you, because the greatest that I see robber of our freedoms at this point is the digital realm and the people that are pushing that upon us. Now, the older I get, and I'm pushing my 80s, the older that I get, the more, I suppose, libertarian I get. Not the true out and out huge L, I believe in hot and cold running drugs and no obstructions on the border, free everything. No, I'm not that libertarian. I am a privacy and security libertarian and a freedom libertarian, which is, again, blah, blah, blah. What price? Freedom. What are you willing to pay? Or are you willing to pay anything at all? Now, Mike Fitzpatrick sent me something about AI in the digital realm, and he pointed this out to me, which I find, Now, let me ask you guys, when I tell you about this story, I want you to respond and say, does this mean anything? Is this called a clue? Is this an indicator? Well, the funny thing is, the OpenAI head of ethics, the head of safety systems, and the head of mission alignment have all quit in the last few weeks from OpenAI. Of course, not making it up. Here's the story. And so there is OpenAI's sole dedicated AI ethicist. See, for a long time, since I became aware of AI, it seemed to me that ethics and AI were mutually exclusive. Well, this individual named Chloe Bacalar left the company less than a year after joining OpenAI, adding another senior departure to a period of what they would call a heightened scrutiny over the safety and the governance and the control over its increasingly adept AI systems. Well, she departed in July. The company hasn't announced her exit. There's no current replacement for that role at all. So my guess is that people are struggling, and not just in OpenAI, every ChatGPT, all of the others. I'm suggesting, as anyone with half a brain would realize, when the co-creators of AI say something similar, at least 2 or 3 years ago, I can't think of the dude's name, but he said that genie has popped out of the bottle and there is no way to shove that thing back. And I fear for humanity and I fear for our future. So when you see people, ethicists, people concerned and whose jobs revolved around the safety of the digital realm and their version of AI, when you see that leaving, would you not consider that a clue in terms of, well, you know, my being here is useless and my job is essentially pointless because I don't see any ethics and I'm really starting to not see much safety involved here. And perhaps it's time for me to Just get the hell out of Dodge. Well, that's the AI aspect of it. And then we have the other part of it that people, thank God, to a degree, are beginning to awaken from their slumber. The surveillance state is here, and it's been here for quite some time. And I'll give you a little bit of a story. Well, first I'll give you my Gerald Bull story and my engineering story and people who are involved in science and technology. And my brother, who's a millionaire, is a perfect example of this. He owned a company in Rancho Cordova and took a buyout and is living in about a 4,000 to 5,000 square foot home in a very tony area in Califalia up in the foothills. And being the engineer, and I've known him obviously all my life because he's my brother, he ain't heavy. But by an engineering standard, his job, as far as he was concerned, was just to push the envelope as much as he could and say, I don't know, the ethics or the results or the conclusions, things down the line were much less immaterial to him than the project itself. In other words, here's a task, go complete this task. The challenge was the engineering function of it all, but how it was used was not of great concern. Now, his application to all of this was relatively limited to an elevator company. He designed controllers for elevators. He wasn't the money aspect of it all. He was the brains of it all. But he pushed that technology as hard as he could with specific applications to what he was paid for, working for said elevator company. There was once a man called Dr. Gerald Bull, who was very similar. And his goal through technology was to make sure that he could build, because his theories and his logic told him that he could build a better gun. He could build, in fact, the world's largest gun, a permanent emplacement, perhaps a future of it being mobile, much larger than anything the Krauts had during World War II on rails. And Dr. Gerald Bull visited technology, loved technology greatly, and was simply looking for someone to be able to fund his project because he had belief in this. The gun that he had was, I don't know, hundreds of feet long. And so the only person who was willing to fund him was Saddam Hussein in Iraq. And now he didn't care where he got his money. All he cared about was the technology and getting the parts and the pieces to Iraq, because that's where he went in order to accomplish this feat. And his job was to make this gun, which could fire massive projectiles, as well as, I wonder if you're thinking about the atomic realm. Quite possibly. But he didn't care who funded him. He just cared about the technology and the engineering and the science involved in creating this thing that he wanted. And he didn't care. He didn't care who the end user was or what the end results were. And oddly enough, because it was Iraq, and oddly enough, because Iraq was going to use this weapon against Israel, the only semi-Western country in the bulk of the Middle East, it should not shock you that the Mossad found him one day and plinked him a little piece of metal into his brainulus. And he was not able to see the end of his goal. And the funny thing is, he was an engineer who couldn't care less about the application of what it was that he was doing. And he's very similar to the people that are creating AI these days. They're going to do and push whatever they can, as far as they can, as soon as they can, because they can. And so let's bring this, if you'll allow me, down to a more, a greater sense of immediacy. So I'm sure you all know who BlackRock is. And I'm sure you all know what surveillance cameras are. And I'm sure you all know what, well, streetlights are. And so when certain personnel were concerned about grabbing a hold of flock cameras and putting them anywhere and everywhere they possibly could. Because after all, I'm here to assure you, everything that's done like that by way of Flock or Axon or Motorola or Vigilant, it's all for your safety. And it's all for the children. Guaranteed. These things shall never be, because people have declared so, they will never be misused. So while people were worried about Flock and a few other cameras, the replacement for that was already kind of being rolled out. And so Axon, which is really, I mean, there's some grandiose irony going on with this, because some of the cities are getting hip to Flock, but some of the cities have said, well, we're not getting a lot of positive press about Flock cameras. So, hey, we hear Axon is pretty good, so we'll probably roll over to them. Kids, they're the same oppressor. So Axon, this is weird, which is one of the hottest cameras currently in the surveillance state market, is now partnering with others to turn street lights into smart cameras. What a grand idea. You don't need any new infrastructure. The poles, this is so weird. The poles are already there. They just convert the lights that you already drive under, and they convert them into, let's see, license plate readers and live streaming cameras and all those things that recognize make, model, dings, tags, plates, damage, bumper stickers, et al. On that. And so counties and cities, there's one not far from me, Post Falls. And the mayor there said, insurrection, I'm forestalling insurrection. Those evil Flock cameras must go, but we're considering Axon. Same oppressor, different day. And here's the weird thing about that. If you know anything about BlackRock or Vanguard, about 25% of Axon is owned by BlackRock, and oddly enough, by Vanguard. And the other one that I can't think of begins with an S. Surveillance, State Street. Okay. And there's a fourth, but I can't remember that. So like BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street. Okay. And oddly enough, those same firms have all gotten together in an odd, unified way. And they're talking about, since we hold a lot of power, why shouldn't we be able to force behaviors? Hey, kids, maybe read the book Nudge by Cass Sunstein. I recommend it. So Axon's CEO has said, and remember, it's all about safety and it's all about the children, is to build a society where crime just doesn't make sense anymore. ... Philip K. Dick, Minority Report. Read the story. The film is similar to the story. And also, Axon's CEO made about $164 million in a single year because this stuff is trendy. It's trendy. So while people were busy focusing like little governmental laser beams on Flock, a lot of other crap was stepping off down the street. This is weird. It's a weird, more advanced, harder to detect system was being and will be installed in plain sight. And so that's the point. To make it such that you don't see it and you don't really care. Because as people who embrace this shit say, well, if you weren't doing anything wrong, you wouldn't have to worry about this, which is about the most asinine thing that I think people can say. And law enforcement, sadly, are being duped into this crap. So what is the price for freedom? What is the price you're willing to pay? What is the price that you're going to have to go to war against government behind? Or government and certain private concerns will kill you. And communists will kill you. And Muslims will kill you. So you either begin to sack up via grandiose amounts of testosterone, or you just say, you know what? It was a nice country. Our freedom was cool when we knew it, when we had it. But just like a floating bird, just let it fly away. Once it flies away, it's probably not coming back. And so this is the next level of the surveillance grid. It's here to stay, and it's not going away, except for one very important aspect, he said, as he cues up something waiting for the bottom of the hour. The only way it goes away is if you make it go away. And there are certain brave but potentially itinerant people who are going around and removing flock cameras. Well, that's just phase one. Phase two, being rolled out now, will be much more difficult to suss out. So streetlights becoming cameras, BlackRock ownership, Vanguard, what did I say, State Street, AI vehicle tracking of everything. And it kind of sounds like a little bit of a stealth rollout. Doesn't it sound that way to you? Maybe just a little bit. And here's another thing. I'll go over this. Let's take the break early because my dogs need their break early. And then I'll be back after the break. And then I want to tell you, I want to lay some information upon you about some of the, Flock hasn't been tinkered with yet already. Has it? Have people been getting into it and doing things that they truly shouldn't with it? I'll be back. Please, you come back too.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
In a world where leftists are running out of metal for the safety pins of their soothing red diapers, one man stands alone, attempting to fundamentally change America, one leftist diaper at a time. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, is guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat leftists and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Listen to BZ Saloon on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, and 11 p.m. Eastern on the SHR Media YouTube channel, Twitch, KLRN, Rumble, and X at BZ Saloon. It's one great late-night conservatarian talk radio show. Be there. Aloha.
Hello, friends. You have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name is Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRN Radio.
It's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Just like the Bidens, I too am moving. Only in my case, it's days and times. That's right, you can now find the Edge of Liberty Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on 11 Eastern on the SHR Media Network. Join me as we talk politics, news, alcohol, fun, not so much fun, clowns, small kittens, large kittens, dogs, amoebas, and anything else that just pops into my mind while I'm on the air. That is Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, on YouTube, X, KLRN Radio, Facebook, Twitch, and anywhere else a good podcast is found. Please check out our website, shrmedia.com. I will see you live on the air.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high-quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic woman who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being, and in the good that comes from exercising these rights well. The founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
It's the final half hour of the show. It's 9:33 p.m. Pacific, which means it's, 11:33 Central and midnight 33 Eastern. Congratulations to all of you intelligent people who are giving me wonderful numbers and stats right now. Thanks for being here. Thanks for entering the chat room and conducting yourselves so, in a chatibus sort of way. The story tonight, and it's going to be the continuing story for Thursday night is, what price are we willing to pay for freedom? What will it be exacted from us if we want to keep our freedom? If it's a republic, can we keep it? Are we motivated to keep it? One of the things that's killing us, besides most everything digital, is the surveillance state, enabled, of course, by all the digital stuff that gets linked to it, which would be, let's say, AI and data centers. And I don't know. Do you guys hear this? Do you hear the little bells, the sleigh bells of CBDC in our future? I'm afraid I do. And so I'd like to take this time to mention this information about the surveillance state, because it's everywhere that you think it isn't. Little towns, free towns. Everywhere you think it couldn't go, it's not just going, it's already there. As I said, justified by, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, why would you care? Or why would you even object? What is wrong with you? You are the wrong person. So every time you drive by a flock or walk by a flock or an axon or a vigilant system, you're tracked and you're traced. Everything is stored. Everything is digital. Everything is retrievable. Everything is shared. And and woe be to law enforcement, because they're lying to you. Everything is shared. Those who say not are lying. All of them. The capabilities come inherent within the systems already. Because storing and sharing and correlating is the entire point of the systems. By the way, were you aware? Let me see if I can put this up here. Were you aware that there is an Israeli system right there? And if you want to see all the links to the stuff that I was talking about tonight, don't go to YouTube, go to Rumble, go to BZ's Rumble channel, go to Rumble and then insert BZ's Saloon there, and you'll be able to find all the links to the stories and the articles and the videos that I have happened to play tonight. Because this is very interesting. With new Israeli software, hey, live and stored video can be changed and altered. It's possible. It's arrived. Oh, no, it's been extant for some time. It's called Toka. So this Israeli cybersecurity firm sells technology to government and to law enforcement agencies that can remotely access connected security cameras, because they are, traffic grids, smart devices, and such. And according to corporate and investigative reports, the software can covertly alter or delete live feeds and past audio visual reports and recordings. And this is the important part, without leaving any kind of detectable forensic footprint. And I showed you the link. Here it is. It's let's see, I'm looking at the top. The story is from incyber.org. Incyber.org. And it's here. And that link, of course, will be over in Rumble and available for you to see. But the interesting thing about that, remember the Russian dude, Beria, who said, you know what? Show me the man and I'll show you the crime. And what requisite probable cause? Huh? What requisite justification? Warrants are for silly people, not for us. So you are tracked, you are traced, you are predictable, you haven't committed a crime existing with, see, here is your crime. Existing within a surveillance state, that's your crime. Paying, subscribing, thoughts are your crime. Subscribing to the wrong social media is your crime. You know, I got my ass completely yanked from Twitter because I dared to repost an article from a legitimate news organization, the New York Post, about the Biden laptop, whom everyone at the time was insisting, oh, this is Russian disinformation. Now they're saying it's Chinese disinformation. Now they're saying it's Jews, the Jews, it's Jewish disinformation. I have a book over there that I bought for a lot of money, which has just about everything that's in the Hunter Biden laptop. And if I could get another copy, if I was smart, I would scan every page in that thick book and someday present them all or put them up on the internet, because there's some graphic crap there. What a shock. Like I said, subscribing to the wrong social media, out with you. Paying the wrong bills or funding the wrong things are your crimes. How do we know that? Hey, look at Canadian truckers under Trudeau in 2022. Remember what happened? All of a sudden, you didn't have accounts. You couldn't pay bills. That's the lovely Canadian government. So, cameras at every intersection, constant monitoring. Where's it going? Well, clearly, social credit scores, just like they have in China. There is literally a camera on every corner in China. And constant monitoring, social credit scores, those are going to be the determinants of whether you are accepted or rejected from society. And like I say, ask China. They're already experiencing that. You know, AI is cool, right? Who doesn't love AI? Data centers are cool because, after all, if you want to hack and track and trace everyone everywhere about everything, then you need to integrate CBDC. Instead of needing a bigger boat, you're going to need an infinitely larger storage and retrieval system, won't you, kids? All searchable. Only available to government and to very, very specific allied private corporations. Only a few will be allowed. You won't. You're at the bottom of the food chain. So at this point, in my opinion, people are responding appropriately with tube cutters and angle grinders. I can't possibly imagine what those things do. I'm not a toolsmith. I don't know anything about that. But do you ever ask yourself, I wonder where the safeguards are? Because in the first hour, didn't I recently read a story or relate to people that those folks who are tasked with AI safety and with AI ethics are abandoning these positions. Could it possibly be, I posit, that they know something we don't know? Just throwing it out there into the ozone. So, this stuff is just imposed by the small number of people who are pushing this because they can. Dr. Gerald Bull, my brother, electrical engineers, people who are interested in this stuff. Here's the envelope. They're going to push it. And they really don't give a shit where it goes down the road, because they know, they themselves, being the digital gods that they are, small g, they're in charge. It's like they're the commies with their own electric dacha. Gotcha. So remember, they know now what to do and how to predict things. And again, all of this can be searched with simple words, keywords. And again, I ask, okay, where are the safeguards? I'm sure there are some, right? There have to be some, BZ. Like I said, just remember, it's for your safety and it's for the children. Who contributes? What contributes? Your car's TPMS contributes. That's your tire pressure monitoring system. Did you know that it gives out little signals that can track you? Oh, but it's for your safety. It's for the children. How about its GPS? How about its internet? How about its Bluetooth? How about your car's SMS card? How about your car's DCM? Look all these things up. Oh, your Ring camera, if you have one of those loving things at your house. Yeah, it sees all and it knows all. And your phone. Oh my God. Dare I even address your phone? But that's not enough for government. None of it is ever enough for government. None of it is ever enough for engineers. None of it is enough for people who have an envelope and want to push past it as far as humanly possible. You know, hashtag because they can. Okay, it isn't enough for government. They demand more, always more, and obeisance and compliance. They live, obey. Not just suggested. Oh no, this isn't a suggestion. It's demanded. Hey, look, kids, I have a few examples of abuse already. Hey, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 2026, Albany, Georgia, Baytown, Texas, Fort Bend County, Texas, Pasadena, Texas, Conyers, Georgia, Charlotte, Mecklenburg, North Carolina. Shh, these abuses have to be kept quiet. You're not supposed to know about any of these things. I love AI. I love cameras. I love the surveillance state. What have you got to fear? What if you're on the wrong side of whatever? Fill in the blank. Now, gee, I wonder how J6, some of those protesters, how they were discovered. Tracking political activity. EFF analyzed more than 12 million flock searches over 3,900 agencies and found hundreds of searches connected to protests, including 50501, Hands Off, No Kings, other demonstrations, and J6. How were the J6 protesters discovered? How were they found? Are these systems politically selective? Oh, I won't be affected right now. Well, it kind of depends on who's in power, doesn't it? As a matter of fact. More than 50 agencies conducted all of these searches. 80 agencies used flock cameras from afar to discover stuff. So why not use, say, police access to this stuff for outside and private employment? In Sandy Springs, Georgia, that's what happened. They were beta testing stuff for Signal 8. Oh, Signal. Cheezo pizza. I haven't even gotten into that yet. But what does flock system, what do flock systems say that they emphasize? Well, it's their audit trail. Their audit trail is a safeguard. And so what have people entered into a search field as a justification? Investigation. One Oregon department, users entered 20 times during September of 2025, and they were still permitted to run searches. Okay, I'm not saying every query is malicious, but it's moving up there, moving on up to the east side to that deluxe apartment in the digital sky. So that equipment, LPR, stuff like that, purchased by law enforcement, is to the point now where it's considered de rigueur. I mean, it's mandatory now that law enforcement wants this because it solves tons of crimes. That's what you're told. Okay. So again, I say, where's the oversight? Is there any oversight on the NSA? Are you kidding me? Anybody hear of the NSA Utah Data Center? That's where they have everything. Millions of square feet on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of servers where they keep everything. And if they say, silly person, kicks her for trigs, we don't do that, they do that. Okay. Only when, and this is a truism throughout, only when local laws and costs are involved, do local councils or boards intervene, or if there's political pressure, political pressure for your freedoms, which are being removed. Zero consent is required of you for this. Agencies just do it unless you're awake. More people are awakening to this. And let me put this up again. This is Toka. Israeli spyware targets security cameras. So this came to light in 2022. Okay, that's 4 years, kids. This has been going on for 4 years. Who accesses this? So an Israeli newspaper, Haaretz, ran an article about Toka. That was the company specializing in taking control of security cameras. So it was founded in 2018 by a former chief of national security and former Prime Minister Ehud Barak. So, gosh, I wonder where Toka has like headquarters companies. Well, obviously Israel, right? Oh, in Washington, D.C. In order to be closer to all the Congress critters, all 535 foaming, slavering members of them just waiting for the right amount of money to cross their palms. So Toka says, oh, you know what? Our software can search for security cameras within a defined area. You set the parameters. It can take control of the IT systems controlling these cameras. The software is intentionally very inconspicuous. It does not appear on the list of users of the cameras that it's targeting. And more importantly, it intentionally leaves no digital footprint in the infected device. That's what this story calls them, infected devices, unlike another software called Pegasus. So Haaretz mentions that Toka, that Israeli company, can track the number plate of a vehicle on different cameras in a particular area. And this is the important part. This is the Benny to all the people that want this software. This is great, kids. The software is also capable of modifying camera recordings at will. Assuming that that company, that Israeli company, Toka, is not exaggerating its capabilities, it could be used to what? Do BZ's logical extension here, okay, will you? It can be used to, I don't know, let's say, let me pull this out of the ozone. Oh, it can be used to alter physical evidence and therefore the truth without leaving any trace whatsoever. Hey, might you decide that you're going to put that into the category of, I don't know, that could be potentially pretty amazing, pretty devastating in principle. Well, right now, okay, you have to realize only democratic organizations in free countries can use it. Right? I mean, this will never get into the hands of people who want to do this. Maybe get rid of your freedoms. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on Rumble, on KLRN, on BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show on X and Twitch, and I almost said Twitter, and of course the magnificently grandiose KLRN Don't Tax the Rick, and a bunch of other bulbous podcast areas. Promotional consideration is by a whole bunch of different places because I don't have the overlays and I can't show you. But of one thing you can be assured. Thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I shall be consorting in less than 10 minutes. So, a strange show tonight began with strange inanity, continued for roughly 2 hours. Thanks to everyone who listened tonight, who will listen later in podcast. I'll be back Thursday night with more of this. Does your freedom have a price? What are you willing to pay?
Quiet down now and get some sleep. Good night, everybody. Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, and good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, please come back Thursday night. Gratitude.